about to have an amazing afternoon, hearing from some people who are going to actually, literally, change the world. What I want to talk to you about to get ready for that is what that process looks like. What does it mean, change the world? What is this thing we call innovation, right? So here's the punchline. You're all innovative. We're all innovative. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to take over an entire planet being small, soft, pink creatures who are kind of hairless, don't have claws, don't have teeth, don't run very fast, and whose young take 5 or 6 years before they can even move around on their own. And yet here we are, planetary conquerors, for good or for ill. I think by the end of the day, you're going to agree that it actually is for good, after all, perhaps. So let's begin here. What is innovation? We have to have a definition. I promise we have to have a definition. So let's start with artistry. Okay? Artistry is making stuff. Right? It's forms, it's painting, it's sculpture, it's digital art, it's whatever that means. So that's the process of artistry. Then there's this one, creativity. Creativity is a little different. Creativity is when we take things that are in our mind and we combine them with things that are out in the actual world and we make something entirely new that was never there before. So what's innovation? Operating definition for the day, innovation is this. It's the applied confluence of those two things, creativity and artistry, at an intersection where we apply wise action over time for a particular purpose that creates a measurable change. It ain't innovation unless something moves, right? So change is what we're about. Hopefully we can measure that change. So, why don't we just all run out and innovate? Well, because maybe we don't know how, or maybe we don't know that we do. So here's the first concept I want to share with you. And this comes from my Buddhist teacher. His name is Thich Nhat Hanh. He's a Vietnamese monk. He lives in France. He's about this tall. He's really funny and he scares me to death, but he doesn't mean to. All he talks about to us all the time about is now, present moment, present moment, present moment, right? Why? Because it turns out that the physicists agree that the present moment is the only real moment there is. Now and here are the only places we can actually operate from to create that change we want to go create. Even though the change may be in the future, we can't create the change in the future. We have to create the change now, okay? So now is the first concept. The other thing I want to share with you is, besides now, there's the concept called interbeing. It's a word my teacher hopes to get into the dictionary. Here's what it means. It means you're in a village of innovation all the time. Even if you live all by yourself, you're still connected. So when we talk about innovation today or innovation villages, I want you to think about your Cub Scout troop, your church, your neighborhood association, your Fortune 50 company that you own, whatever that innovation neighborhood is. We're all connected in it. Okay, here's the next piece. I failed Algebra 1 twice. I took it in the 9th grade from Mr. Leonard. He told me I was stupid and I'd never be able to get it, so I took it, got a D in 10th grade, never took another math class my whole life. But I love math because it does amazing things. So when I worked for Disney, I ran a division, and once a year we had to do a capital budget. And that's where you make this wish list of stuff you want, and then you go give it to the finance guy, and you say, here's how much it costs and here's how much money I'm going to make with it. And then they would go into the evil finance guy cave, and they'd come out later, and they'd have this answer and say, all right, you get these 4 things, you don't get those 3 things. Well, how come? Well, they had this equation. They had this thing called net present value. That equation up there is actually a time machine. It lets that finance person say, this expenditure now is actually going to be worth this much today, counting all of its future activity. I went, that's amazing. It's a time machine. So what if we married that mathematical time machine concept to the concept of the Buddha's now? And I think we would get something like this, the net present moment. So what's that? Well, it's fascinating. It literally is a way that we can move from today into the future and bring all that back to the present moment. It is the time machine of the innovator, and it says, I can be brilliant, I can make a change, I can already know what it is, and I can do it because I'm staying right here in the present moment. Now, there's a couple things we've got to overcome. This is the first one. Anybody recognize that face? Yes, we've all made that face. This is fear, right? So what is fear? Fear is a mental formation. Words of the Buddha. It's a mental formation. It's something we make up here. And you can play with fear if you like. Here's an experiment you can run. Next time you're afraid, ask yourself if you're afraid of what's in front of you. You won't be. The answer is you're always afraid of something you can't see. So fear is this story we make up. In innovation, it goes like this. What if I try this and I'm wrong? Or I make a mistake? Oh, what if I make a mistake and they kill me? What if I make a mistake and they kill me, and then after I'm dead, they say he was wrong? Right? We hate being wrong. There's nothing worse. So that's the first enemy. We call that the far enemy of innovation. It's not called far because it's far away. It's called far because it's the opposite of innovation. But that's not the real bad boy. This is the real bad boy. This is the number one impediment to innovation, success. We call it the near enemy. Again, not because it's necessarily closer, but because it mimics the thing itself, right? Success makes you think everything's good. It's all fine. Bottom line looks good. Everybody's happy. We're all doing really well. Shareholders are happy. Whatever your metric is. Innovation will cause you to become complacent. Another mental formation. So what we're trying to do here is move past this place where we have these two fears. What I've done today is suggest that I've asked 5 people to join me with you. They're all experts in innovation. We're going to talk about 5 things that we can all do to overcome these enemies of innovation and create the future we want. So here we go. Everybody recognize that face? That's Mohandas K. Gandhi. And he was an innovator. He innovated an entire subcontinent. He changed India, and it wasn't easy. And this is a direct quote. Secrecy is a sin and it is to be avoided. So what's that got to do with innovation? Well, I would suggest this. Openness is the first great tool of innovators. You stay open. There are 3 doors of openness. Here's the first one. Don't hold on too tight. Have views, have ideas, have concepts, even have beliefs. Be careful with those, but have them anyway. Just don't hold on to them. You put them out there and you say, hey, I think we should paint it purple. Or green. You know, don't cling, right? Let it go. Float it out there and see where it goes, right? That's the first one. Don't clutch. Don't grab. Second, don't be a hog. Don't keep secrets. What Gandhi said is true. If you want to innovate in your innovation village, you have to share. You have to say, hey, here's what I know, here's what I think. Everybody use it, right? If you're not familiar with the knowledge commons movement that's taken particularly in healthcare research, you should check it out. Because it's a completely different way of thinking about innovation. We put everything we all know out there. Anybody who wants to use it, uses it, and we worry about how we're going to get paid for that later. Very interesting idea. So generosity, the spirit of generosity and sharing of information. The last one is never throw anything away. At Imagineering, we had a boss, and he was a scary guy. And it was time for a buy-off meeting, which meant we were ready to present our Epcot show for final production. So we're all there, we've been working like demons, and he comes in and he looks at it and says, nope, that's not it. You guys need to redo that. Go back to the drawing board. It was 10:30 in the morning. We were so crestfallen we decided to head for the bar. And on the way out, he kind of saw us with our faces all hanging. They said, hey. I didn't say it was bad. It's just not the right show for this attraction. That's a great idea. Put that in the drawer. We'll do it. Now go in there and get it right for this show. So recycle everything. Great innovators, in the spirit of openness, don't ever throw anything away. And you don't poo-poo other people's and throw theirs away either. Okay, moving ahead. This guy, everybody knows, everybody should know, and he's enjoying a lot of new fame, I think, because of the internet and Facebook. He's really out there a lot. That's Albert Einstein, and that's a direct quote from him. He's a guy who was mainly curious. By the way, he was a terrible mathematician. I like to think I have that in common with him. So here's the first step for being curious. You stay in what we call in Zen beginner's mind. When you're a beginner and somebody says, hey, how do you do that? What do you say? What do you say? I don't know. I don't know. You know? Okay, so beginner's mind is the opposite of expert mind. Here's the cool thing. For beginners, the possibility waves, to borrow from physics, of every possible solution are available because you don't know. For the expert, nope, that's the way you do it. This poor expert is locked in. So once a year I go play in a charity golf tournament, which is really funny to see. Because I'm not a golfer, but I go out and about the 8th hole, people I play with are cussing at each other and throwing their clubs and smacking trees and doing all this stuff, right? And I'm going, hey, the sky's blue, green grass, birds are singing, beer's cold, you know. And finally one said, well, how, you're not playing better than we are. How come you're so calm? He said, because I'm not a golfer. Right? I don't care. If I ever even hit it once, it'd be a miracle, right? So that's beginner's mind. It keeps you open, right? The other one is this one. We tend to go into a situation and say, all right, this didn't work. Let's do a postmortem on it, figure out what broke. It turns out if you do the opposite, which is the thing called appreciation or appreciative inquiry, you say this, hey, that really worked good. And then your buddy can come in and say, yeah, how did we do that, right? Let's do more of that. So in innovators' world, you look at that appreciation of what's going well. And that gets you where you want to go. All right. This guy I've never met. His name's Jose Mateo. He runs a dance company in Atlanta, Georgia. And this is a direct quote from him. No one should ever be excluded from a dance. Literally no one. That's pretty brave, particularly for me, because you couldn't make me dance if you threatened me with a shotgun, right? On the other hand, in the presence of somebody like this, I just might give it a try. Well, what's this inclusivity thing mean? Here's what it means. If we run a general distribution curve of any population against any metric called we want to move something forward, what's going to happen is you're going to get this distribution. About 20% are going to be Eeyores. We all know Eeyore, right? Hey, Eeyore, beautiful day. It'll probably rain. That's Eeyore. About 60% are going to be Pooh Bears. How you doing? I'm fine. I was fine last week. I'll be fine next week. Be fine, you know. And then 20% are Tigers. Boing, 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 let's go! You know, whatever it is, right? Okay, so if you want to do maintenance, just kind of keep things are, it's about command and control and management and all that stuff. That's not going to get you innovation, though. And the management guys will tell you, and if there are any management consultants here, I apologize right now, the management guys will tell you, you spend all your time in the middle with those Pooh Bears because those are the ones that really get it done. You ignore the ones on the left because you can't fix them, and the ones on the right don't need you. Wrong. You want to innovate? Your world has to look a lot more like this. You've got to embrace everybody. You want to embrace every single perception in your world, including her, even though she be scary, right? She's got something to say. If we ignore those people on the left and ignore those people on the right, we're not going to get a brilliant, innovative solution. So practicing wild embrace is a great skill set that innovators employ. And you'll find out that you can even do that with people you don't know. How? You ever heard of Facebook? I mean, there's lots of ways to embrace thinking now that we never had before. It's an exciting time to be out innovating.
There's one simple vision hack anyone can use to improve vision, so you can say goodbye to your optometrist for good. Did you know that vision impairments have nothing to do with your eyes?
I don't know if you know who that is or can read a signature. That's Leonardo da Vinci. I feel close to him. I just got back from Europe and went to the Louvre and got to see some of the paintings. And by the way, the Mona Lisa thing, you know, I'm sorry, but it's just been trashed because it's 300 people all going like this with their cell phone. And there's this postage stamp over there with this lady on it. So I'm only going to go back to see the Mona Lisa if I can go when it's closed. But besides that, he painted a lot of stuff. And that's what we know him for. Yeah, well, here's the truth about this guy. He was a bad boy. He was a total bad dude. He broke every rule he could find. He actually did this. He went out and happened to the world. Why do I say that? Well, first of all, he completely changed the way you painted. And in those days, by the way, you had to get permission to do that. The church mainly said, these are things you can put in, these are things you can't put in. Kind of like broadcast censors today, you know, before there was cable. Most of you are too young, forget it. So he not only changed painting, he went farther than that. He said, by the way, I'm going to be a scientist, I'm going to be an inventor, I'm going to be a sculptor, and I think I'll invent this new thing called the Renaissance Man. Change the way humans acted on the world. That is iconoclasm, friends. That's not incremental. He didn't say, maybe a different shade of yellow. He blew up the world. So how does that look? Well, it kind of looks like this. You go big. Innovators go big. You can always dial it back in, right? Guy on the left playing a silver trumpet. Why is that slightly innovative? Well, because they're mostly brass. So the silver trumpet looks a little better, you know, sounds a little sweeter maybe. The other guy, Dizzy Gillespie, played a trumpet that was bent at a 45-degree angle out of nowhere for no apparent reason, and he would never say why he did it. He didn't just incrementally improve the trumpet. He iconoclastically broke and improved the nature of how jazz got played and redefined the entire world of jazz. So iconoclasm is important. Let me just share one other example of this. So I'm up here talking about innovation, right? But you know, I'm not very. So I could say, well, I'll tell you what. If I'm going to be an innovative guy, you know, I'll just take my jacket off. All right. So, all right. Now I'm a little looser, right? That's incremental. This, my friends, is iconoclasm. This is what you do if you really want to be innovative. So once you get that going, you know, what has happened here, in case you didn't notice, is that we are now about to have a completely different conversation, aren't we? Yeah, that's right. Okie dokie. So, I lost my clicker. So this is iconoclasm, right? Don't be afraid to blow stuff up. Blow stuff up. You can rebuild it. You got it there in the first place. Here's my fifth one. This is my friend Stuart Brown. Now, you probably haven't heard of Stuart Brown. He's an amazing man. Stuart is a psychiatrist and spent most of his life studying serial killers. Here's what he found out. None of them played. The common thing about people who are mass murderers is that they didn't play as children for various reasons. So when he discovered that, he said, you know, there must be something about whatever this play thing is that's really important. So he studied it his whole life. He established something called the Institute for Play, and he's gotten to be a good friend of ours at Ideas, and I'm on his advisory board. And This is what Stuart would tell you about play. It's the most powerful thing in the world. So innovation requires you to be dedicated to play. Some things happen when you play. It's kind of a drug. It's kind of a mind-altering activity. For one thing, you lose all sense of time. You just are in it. You talk about the present moment, no sense of time whatsoever. You lose your sense of self. Play, when they test it in animals, and by the way, humans aren't the only animals that play. There's a great video of a crow. He's on the side of the hill in a little patch of snow, and he hops up the top and falls over and slides down, and hops up the top. He's not mating behavior. He's just having a blast. He's sliding down the hill, So animals will play, and they'll choose play over eating. They'll choose play over breeding. They'll choose play over everything else. It's one of the only activities animals do that you do for its own sake. And it's the world of improvisation. So people who are playing really try stuff. If you can sneak up on some kids, you can see this, right? You have to sneak up, though. It's, a little bit of, okay, I'm going to be the dragon, and you're going to be the knight. Yeah, okay, I'll be the knight, but I'm going to breathe fire, too. Well, okay, then I'm going to breathe oxygen. There's no rules. They're just riffing. They're just having a great time. They're defining that. So play is the fifth strategy to go out and innovate. All right. I don't know if you wrote on a piece of paper, like I asked you, something that's limiting you, but whether you did now or you do it later, and I encourage you to really do this, either write it digitally or on a piece of paper, something that's keeping you from the innovation you want. I'm going to tell you now what that paper is going to say. It's going to say stuff like this. Oh, no, I'd love to, but I got a family to take care of. I got kids. Or, hey, man, look, that's risky stuff. We got a bottom line. I'm going to get smacked. Or, you don't understand. We work for the government. We know policies. We have procedures, right? Yeah, blah, 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 yada, yada. Okay? Everybody's got something, right? We all got something. Do you know what that is? That's the voice of those two enemies. That's that voice. That's that mental formation in your head saying, be afraid, be very afraid, because maybe you're wrong. Or, don't rock the boat. Life is good. You got your bonus. Shut up. Both of those are wrong. So I want to challenge you to overcome those. You've got 5 things you can now go out and do. And every one of us in this room knows how to do these things. So this afternoon, for the rest of the day, your mind is going to be blown by how the world could look in the future. And I want to give you an assignment, which is to basically come and join everyone else who's up here today. So here's the idea. First, I want you to burn that piece of paper. I want you to go home, and I want you to set fire to it. Or if it's digitally, just delete it. Turn it back into electrons. Turn it back into carbon and energy. Get it out of the way. That act alone will be liberating. Second, try staying present. Try being here now, wherever you are, whenever you are. Be there. A really good way to tell this is how many seconds, and I say seconds, particularly for you young people, can you be alone with your own mind without any music, without any media, without nothing? Practice that. Stay in the present, because this is where the anchor is that gets you what you want. Third, I want you to try these 5 things. Here's the bonus. If you get an innovative result, I want you to send me an email and tell me what happened. If you do, I will send you the other 5 things. Because just like Yoda said, no, there is another, there are actually 5 more. All right. Hold on to your seat. It's going to be a fabulous afternoon. And I just want you to remember before I leave, you are actually who you've been waiting for to do all this innovation. Have a great day. Thank you.